So the transfer market's in a bit of a flux right now, Shaq. So I'm going to give you 5 players that we can discuss and what their future has in store potentially. Let's start with David De Gea, who doesn't seem like his first choice at Manchester United. So what would be best for him? And if he's on his way, then where?
I don't know, Mark. I'll be honest with you. Here's the challenge for David De Gea. As good a goalkeeper as he had been for Manchester United, I think he's been trending downwards for the last couple of seasons. He's now 30 years old and on a huge contract that I don't think many in world football can afford. And they can't afford that if David De Gea was at his best, and certainly won't be willing to take a chance on, given his form and some of his inconsistencies that we've seen over the last 18 months, 2 years. So that is a real issue for Manchester United. And I know there's been a lot of speculation around a swap deal for Oblak, which makes sense, given that David De Gea, his successes at Atletico Madrid, going back, albeit many years later, maybe that ticks a box. Oblak is entering into the last 2 years of his contract, so maybe Atleti themselves are starting to think about, do we renew? He's 28 years old. What does that renewal look like? Or do we move him on now, where we can still get good money for him? And having De Gea come back in, again, makes that whole situation a whole lot easier for them. That, for me, is the only real possibility. That, of course, doesn't even take into consideration Henderson and how good he'd been in finishing off this season for Manchester United. So it's a whole lot of moving parts to this, and it's all predicated on that contract that De Gea signed a couple of years ago that I don't think anybody in the best of circumstances would have taken a chance on. But given the position that many clubs have found themselves in because of COVID, I just can't see people matching what Manchester United paid David De Gea.
Next on the list is Jadon Sancho. I think it's a case of when and not if he moves. But would he be advised just to maybe stay put for another 12 months?
No, I think, if there's a big offer coming from a big club, you take it. And the thing is, we had this discussion around Jadon Sancho roughly 12 months ago, and I thought it affected him. And I didn't think he started the season well for Borussia Dortmund, but he finished very strongly. And I think that shows a certain sign of maturity around Jadon Sancho, understanding that this kind of speculation is never going to go away. Certainly not anytime soon. And it's something that all good players, regardless of age, even the young ones, have to deal with. And it's how they manage it that I think kind of dictates what's to come next and shows their potential. I think Jadon Sancho eventually got that right. Now, he'd been linked with Manchester United fairly consistently, and I still think they're in pole position to sign Jadon Sancho. If they come in with an offer that he thinks is a good one for him, absolutely. I think take it now. As good as Dortmund has been in bringing through young players and young talent, at some point you have to move, and I think now is as good a time as any for Sancho.
Let's talk about another talented youngster, Declan Rice. Now, N'Golo Kante at the weekend was on vogue because similar position and a player that was just fantastic. Declan Rice is a wonderful player. Is it time for West Ham to cash in those chips?
Yeah, as disappointed as I, as a West Ham fan, would be to see Declan Rice go, it's the writing's on the wall, and it's only a matter of time. I think Declan Rice has grown in consistency. He's grown in maturity and continues to be as attractive a prospect as any. And this is the challenge for young players like Declan Rice. When he first burst on the scene, it's all about potential and can he live up to that potential? I think he's shown that he can, and he has, and he's maturing very well at West Ham. And now big clubs would be right to kind of stump up what West Ham would be looking for. And you're right, Mark. I think now especially, we're talking about N'Golo Kante and his value as a defensive midfielder. A couple of days ago, we were talking about Ballon d'Or potential. And for me, N'Golo Kante is in pole position right now. All he needs is a decent Euros, and he should be crowned Ballon d'Or winner. This is a defensive midfielder we're talking about. So it shows the value of that position. It shows the respect that that position now holds this season, right now, more so than any time previously. So if you're a big club, if you're Declan Rice, I think the stars are aligning.
There's a bit of speculation about Jack Grealish and where his future lies. Does he start next season as a Villa player, or is he elsewhere in Europe?
This is a tough one, because I tell you, Grealish is a player I admire a lot. I think he's an incredible talent. Here's my concern around Grealish. I think you have to build a team around Jack Grealish. He has to be the center of your focus. And now a lot of the speculation around Grealish has been with Manchester City. And while I feel City already have a lot of players very similar to Jack Grealish, I don't think he comes in there and is the focus, can be the focus, or will be the focus. Here's the caveat to my own argument. I felt exactly the same around Riyad Mahrez with Leicester City. And look how well he made that transition and has fitted into everything about City, huge contributor to their own successes. So while I feel this way about Grealish, I know it can work the other way around. For what it's worth, I just kind of feel Grealish and Spurs, which was the big link 12 months ago, just seems a more natural fit to me. So I'm still leaning that way. Spurs, of course, without a manager as of right now, so we'll see what that looks like. But right now, I'm just going to hold on to my own biases and say I feel that Jack Grealish is a better fit at Spurs. But I know that I make an argument and counter my own argument in that link with Manchester City.
It's your rules. You can do whatever you want, and that's what you tell your five kids.
It's a good position to be when you can make a point and then counter your own point, and everybody's fine with it.
It's called covering all the bases. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's end with Raphael Varane. Which teams, if he isn't to stay where he is right now, which teams do you think would be at the front of the queue to snap him up?
And here's another one that I'm a little bit conflicted on. I think Varane is an incredible defender, without question, one of the top central defenders in world football. I do feel that Varane is better alongside Sergio Ramos than anybody else. Now, there's been speculation on Sergio Ramos and his own future as well. But I just wonder if Varane is ready right now to step into a team to be the leading, quote unquote, centre back, to be the one that everybody is taking their position off of, like Van Dijk for Liverpool or Sergio Ramos himself for Real Madrid. I'm not so sure. The counter to that argument, though, is Frank Leboeuf, World Cup winning centre back, thinks differently, thinks that Varane can go and fit into a Manchester United who do need that kind of quality centre back. I just feel that I feel that's a position that Manchester United need to fill, and so maybe that makes the most sense for Varane, given United's need, given that link has existed for a couple of years now. But make no mistake about it, if Varane does leave Real Madrid, there'll be no shortage of suitors. I think world-class centre-backs are few and far between, and even less available to those who want and need.
Well, given what Shaka's just said, we'll end this Sesame Street-style broadcast, by saying it's been brought to you by the words yes, no, and maybe.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.